Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is the Astral. I wanted to jump on and go over kind of some breaking news, a little bit of tension rising in the air in ufology. But I wanted to go over a couple clips, a couple things that have happened in the last few days that are of, pretty important interest in the UFO topic, especially when it comes to insiders. A lot of the 2017 stuff that has been driving disclosure over the last decade, really. And the lead person who's been the face of ufology, I would say, for the last decade, which is Lue Elizondo. So we can just get right into it. I'll play also a couple other clips from Matthew Brown, who said some interesting things as well. But let's go over. So Ross Coulthart recently spoke, I guess, with UAP Gerb for an interview, and then it was also reported that they would be doing multiple interviews over a 2-week span. So I was actually excited about this. This got me excited. I like Gerb. I like Gerb's research. I like his approach to things. Seems very meticulous and involved, knowledgeable, sharp when it comes to the topic. But he came on and spoke with Ross, who I've worked with Need to Know. I like Ross. I'm a fan of Ross. I like his journalism. And so they're kind of contentious within the community on where people stand with this. But I was a fan of having these two together and just to start discussing the topic. I was interested to see how the dynamic of the conversation would go. So I'll play a couple clips here, but I recommend just watching the whole. I think it's like about an hour-long conversation. They go into a bunch of topics, but they really stick to this one thing with Elizondo, ATIP, and this like controlled narrative. Ross Coulthart mentioned it briefly, I think on one reality check after the Disclosure Forum event where Elizondo was there as well. And he mentioned something to the effect of, Elizondo was part of this controlled narrative campaign associated with James Clapper. And to me, that was a very surprising statement to hear from Ross. And in a way it was, and then I think he kind of walked it back in a way, still saying, I respect Elizondo. I appreciate what he's done. He's still done a lot for disclosure. We're friends, all of that. So it was surprising, the first part where he started essentially calling Elizondo out for this like controlled narrative thing. So it was a little vague, but it got on my radar. I posted a couple times about it. I was wondering, where this was really going to go after this. And I think Lue Elizondo responded, kind of like defensively, which was kind of expected. But this interview, they really get into it. So I'll play a clip here, and they really get into what Ross was referring to.
There are those who are digging for that reverse engineering recovery program of non-human technology. And there are those who are saying, just be happy with what you've got. Be happy with the small d disclosure. Is someone trying to control the narrative?
Yes. You made a statement recently as of recording this program where you talked about allegations and rumors of a pretty high-profile person within the UAP topic being appointed at a very high level to kind of spearhead the disclosure initiative or be integral to it out of the White House or executive branch. I'm going to go ahead and take that leap, and I will be very plain here. That individual is Luis Elizondo, and he is currently being tasked, likely has the position for a National Security Council level role, exactly what he had been looking for as the quote-unquote UAP czar. This is detrimental to the disclosure process. This is extremely concerning.
I'll stop just right there, because right there, I knew as soon as I heard that, I was like, yo, this is a different interview than just hyping up disclosure and ufology. They're actively calling out Lue Elizondo and breaking the news before I think Elizondo was able. I do not think he talked about getting a position like this. And I'll play a video later on. Lue Elizondo, in a response where he essentially confirms it. He's been on this like travel thing to Washington, D.C. across the country. Now this all sort of makes sense that he's taken a, full-time position doing something within, the government officially in this disclosure role, which, UAP czar, whatever that really means. That can mean a whole bunch of things to a whole bunch of people. But for these guys to bring it up, for Ross and Gerb to bring it up, and to have some concern, like they sound concerned that Elizondo has gotten this role, and it's going to halt progress, or, you know, I'll keep on playing it. But that right off the bat, as soon as I heard this, right off the bat, I was like, oh, this is going to be a different interview than they would normally have on News Nation.
Like you said, of partial disclosure, limited disclosure, we have seen this before. This takes us back to the year of 2017, in which Lue Elizondo and a cadre of other individuals under a program, an informal working group called ATIP, the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, had been working from 2009 to roll out a partial disclosure campaign at the behest of Lieutenant General and Director of National Intelligence James Clapper. Once again, we are in this situation, and it is perilous for the disclosure effort.
You know what kind of sticks out? I watched this just a couple of times. One of the things that sticks out to me is at times Gerbs he looks uncomfortable saying the information. Like he looks like he doesn't really want to do this on News Nation. And the response from Elizondo, I would understand. It's just such a negative pushback response for trying to report something like this. And you could kind of see, you know, him during the interview at times when he's talking about this, like feel uncomfortable about talking about this on essentially the biggest platform that you could. You know, Reality Check is the biggest podcast. It's like Reality Check and Jesse Michaels are the two biggest UFO podcasts in the world. So to go on Reality Check and to openly speak out with the top journalists in the field about and be featured, like this is like a feature. This is like a first interview of him being featured for the next 2 weeks. To come out and punch basically Lue Elizondo and say, you're in this controlled narrative. All of this ATIP stuff was part of James Clapper's attempt to control this topic and control what was published and put out there to the internet. Man, that's just such a big piece of news that I think is going to be very interesting to see how it plays out the rest of this year. Just for that to drop. So, you know, I think just the ATIP stuff, all of it sort of makes sense. I mean, it makes sense to me in that, you know, there's always the OSAP ATIP argument, and this brings it right back up to what they were doing. And a lot of Gerb's questions, even when he was questioning how put off were around ATIP, he was really getting at, like, what was that? Remember when how put off and Gerb were talking with Eric Burleson, and Gerb was really asking him about OSAP and ATIP, but what was ATIP's role? I think Gerb has been sitting on this for a while. I honestly think these guys have probably been sitting on this for a good little bit, that they've known that he was part of this controlled narrative campaign. Now, the one pushback that people have, which is understandable, is Gerb doesn't really bring any evidence. I guess, here we go again with the ufology. There's no evidence, but the reporting, you know, like him reporting that with Ross, and Ross is essentially reporting this together, is the most credible way of reporting this without evidence. Like it is. So without the evidence, you know, people can push back and be like, yeah, you've got nothing, you know, to really back that up other than the research that they've done. And, you know, might be the case where they can't, you know, again, it's anonymous sources. Ross definitely doesn't share his sources. He's not going to reveal for sources. It doesn't seem like Gerb he's in the same situation. He's not sharing his sources. People have called him out. People like Patrick from Vetted, of just the source deal. It's extremely frustrating, man. I see both sides of it. I see working with Ross and why he would protect it, to not, to keep that position as the journalist that will protect the sources but still try and publish the information that he can. But I see the frustration of the community and be like, these guys don't have any sort of classified access to where they should have these sources, other than Burleson or anybody from Congress, or, you know, even Congress doesn't. Imagine that Congress doesn't have access to any of these sources, when Congress should have more access to the sources of the people that are, you know, anonymously or out there as these important sources. So it's just it's like a game, man, that these guys are playing. But, you know, being called out like that is, man, that just started, I think it lit a fire. And I'll go to the next clip too, is he explains how this all took place with Grusch, because then you put Grusch into it. I think UAP Gerb and Grusch have a close relationship, a lot closer, it seems, than Grusch does with Elizondo. Elizondo and Grusch it doesn't seem like they're on the same page. And at times Grusch, they sort of like throw these low blow insinuations and like through interviews, but they don't say the other person's name. Like that's the one thing in ufology that always happens is I think in Lue's response today, he doesn't even say UAP Gerb's name, but it's these like, they don't say the name, but you're trying to get the information of who it's talking about. It happens everywhere, but yeah, that is one thing that always takes place. All right, let me bring this up.
If Lue Elizondo really was, as you say, responsible for an attempt to try and constrain the narrative, why do you say that his hand was forced by David Grusch coming out and talking about the reverse engineering program and the retrieval program?
Because when David Grusch went public and open kimono discussed the legacy program, he sort of eviscerated that partial disclosure effort of the revelations of a non-human intelligence and technical vehicles and anomalous signatures, and he forced the conversation forward into reverse engineering and crash retrieval. So for that, at that point, for Elizondo and others, it was adapt or die. You meet David Grusch, as a very senior, very respected officer, Air Force veteran, an all-around stand-up guy that is respected by so many. He set the new standard for how the subject of UAP is discussed and how seriously it's taken and what sort of allegations need to be investigated.
It's quite incredible if what you're saying is true, because James Clapper has been presented as a pro-transparency advocate. He was presented in the Disclosure movie as somebody who's all about talking about what secret programs the US Air Force has been involved in monitoring UAPs.
So he had 3 scenes in the Age of Disclosure, which totaled under 1 minute total of screen time. The most important clip of which was him saying that there was a program out at Area 51 in the Nevada test site that monitored UAP. But that documentary, in a sense, almost seemed like a large amnesty plea for many of the individuals within that documentary. My biggest issue here, and this is one of the biggest gripes I have, is one of the centralized components of the documentary is discussion of the legacy program, right? First of all, there's legacy programs. It's multiple, it's not singular. But second of all, the documentary portrays the program structure as this. The CIA's Directorate of Science and Technology, DS&T, at the top. The deputy director of this DS&T spearheads the whole crash retrieval portfolio. Under the DS&T on equalized playing fields, according to the documentary, is the Department of Energy, Defense Industrial Base prime contractors, the Big Five, Northrop Grumman, Lockheed Martin, etc., and the Air Force. My problem with that starts with this, and I have many. That portfolio of programs exists, but the program manager, the director of that program set is the National Security Council, specifically elements within the covert actions, covert activities oversight structure of the NSC. Why was that not displayed in the documentary? It's to protect individuals like Clapper and other National Security Council interests.
See, that's interesting. And he's really saying that they're intentionally slow playing and not publishing information to protect people like Clapper because they don't have things like amnesty set up yet. So people who have been part of maybe possibly bad things covering up, things to do with the legacy program, that they're trying to convince the government to give them amnesty and purposefully withholding information. And I think what Gerb is really saying is that too, is he has researched this information enough to where other people like Dan Farah and people who have had access to the sources should know this information and basically should be publishing and putting that information out there. So what he's saying is, if you've reached to a point where I know where you're at, like I know where I'm at with the information that I know of how deep that I got, and you have as many, you are deeper. You've talked with everybody in the Age of Disclosure, and you've talked with all of these insiders. You should have this information, the same information that I have, but you're purposely withholding some of this information to not publicly put it out there because it would expose people like Elizondo and Clapper. That's interesting to me because, that I think is going to start to happen. People are going to recognize, and it happens on a not this deep a scale, as other information within the field that I think you get to a certain point where it's a lot more having to do with debunking stuff. But this is a interesting call out. It gets a little deep. Gerb does with the acronyms and, into a lot of the private organizations and companies and all of this stuff. But I think it's just, he called out the age of disclosure. I found that pretty interesting. And then again, he just goes back to Elizondo, naming Elizondo again. Let me see. I think there's one more clip where he talks about Tom DeLonge. Yeah, this is a clip where he talks about DeLonge, and which I found interesting. Again, like Tom DeLonge, he disappeared from the topic like a few years ago. Just completely disappeared after being on the forefront. Like he was the guy who brought TTSA together. So I thought it was interesting. So we'll play this.
Let me get this right. A bear with a very small brain trying to come to terms with what you're describing here. What we're talking about is that right back in 2015, 2016, when Tom DeLonge from Blink-182 first started talking about these meetings that he was having with the General, Neil McCaslin, and General Michael Carey, both from the US Air Force. Those meetings were part, you believe, of a coordinated effort by sections of the US government, military, intelligence community to do a controlled disclosure.
That's correct. Let's also see who else was in those meetings with Tom DeLonge. That includes Steve Justice and Rob Weiss out of Lockheed Martin Skunk Works. In one video, Tom DeLonge said he met with agency officials, so CIA officers or senior individuals at the CIA. I'll leave that up to Tom or others to discuss, but I would be very interested to see who those specific agency officials are.
But let me get this right.
Well, not good if you're a TTSA fan. If you came up really being like Tom DeLonge was right, and that makes a lot of sense to me on why Tom DeLonge would have left, would have disappeared, is that he found out he was being used in a controlled narrative campaign. He wasn't getting the full truth. He was getting the Cliff Note version and was being manipulated to be used to relay that to the public. That would make a lot more sense as to why he just totally disappeared, went back to music, and didn't care about really UFOs anymore. I mean, he likes it. I think he's into the topic, so for sure. But I think being involved like he was probably, and he probably found out that it was Lue Elizondo. I guarantee Tom DeLonge found out that Lue Elizondo was pushing this disclosure narrative campaign, controlled disclosure narrative campaign with James Clapper. DeLonge found out, and he's like, man, fuck this, bro. I'm not doing this TTSA when I got these agents in here pulling this off. And so that this is coming together. It makes a lot more sense to me when you look at the even larger picture of other pieces that are falling into place, like just Tom DeLonge randomly leaving the topic after getting so deep into the access doesn't make sense. Him finding out that people like Lue Elizondo, maybe even Mellon, all of these other people that, Gerb was naming a few others that were involved, were pushing this controlled narrative. They were seeding him very, very basic stuff, or even disinformation. So, man, this blew something wide open. And again, I would go back, listen to the interview. I recommend that. But to respond to that, okay, Elizondo, that was yesterday. Elizondo responded a couple hours ago, and in his car ride. So he got wind of this, and I would imagine I was waiting for the response, and it came sooner and more surprised on what happened than I expected. So I'm going to play a few clips of Elizondo basically responding in a selfie phone recording to what Gerb and Ross Coulthart were reporting of what I just played. It was a 9-minute video, so I'm just going to play a few clips of it, but we'll go along.
As you continue to disparage and provide false information, remember there's real consequences. There are real consequences for your actions and what you are doing. And I would not want to be you right now, because when this all comes out that you're just BSing, I think there's going to be a price to pay. So anyways, folks, I hope you're well. I didn't want.
So that's a wild statement right there. There's a price to pay. He took it to 100 right off the bat.
To address this, I hate having to do this because all it does is goad people and more people to want to have conversations. I'm in the middle of a drive across country. Last thing I need to do is, deal with this headache. But I think it's important enough to address it and address it head on and let you know the truth. I've always been committed to the truth. Hopefully most of you know that by practice. And be wary, be very careful of people who are trying to paint a false narrative and then try to get attention for it. Very, very disingenuous, very disingenuous. So here I am, folks, once again. And Ross, that goes for you, man. I love you, buddy, but you have my phone number. You can call me anytime, you know that. So if you have any questions of who I am or what I'm doing, that's never stopped you before from calling me. Just give me a shout. We have to be careful with media here, especially News Nation, who's a friend to disclosure. They've got a reputation. A lot of people listen to them. So we've really got to do our due diligence in making sure that the information that is being provided is accurate. And I do appreciate what you're doing, Ross. But please, for the love of God, be more careful with who you decide to have on your program.
Keep in mind, Ross was the one who originally reported this. Like, this wasn't the first person who actually spoke about this was Ross. Gerb just brought the more of the details of what it was about. Now, Gerb might have been sitting on this information for longer than Ross Coulthart had reported on it a few weeks ago, but this is just, this is the politics of ufology of the side that nobody really sees. Like, this is, why can't everybody get along? Look at this right here. This is the perfect example of why everybody in ufology can't get along. And so for Elizondo to respond so quickly and so defensively is a flag, and interesting to me because he sees this as really, his reputation has been ruined the last couple, let's be real. His reputation has been ruined the last few years with him presenting evidence. And, he's talking about getting to the truth. Well, he hasn't been doing good investigation work. And that's concerning for somebody who was running a UFO program, okay, of all of the evidence that he's presented out. And so this it drives his reputation even lower into the ground. And the worst part is, I think too, is what they're saying is now he's taking this UFOs, he's in the position. And you know what? Honestly, part of me is like, this is happening too late. Like, this is too late. Elizondo's already got the position. He's been in he's featured on Age of Disclosure. He's got a #1 selling book. This is what he's already got this position locked up. The bad guy's already, he's gone. For us to kind of be like, wait, we can't have, man, and not to say that anybody's been delaying it, but it just feels like this is almost too late to call this stuff. People have been calling this stuff out for a minute, for years, and I just feel like for right now, this just feels like a little bit almost of like, man, it's too late to be doing this. More people have got to be on board with calling this out, calling stuff out, being critical, asking hard questions, investigating things that have uncomfortable answers where it's not pro disclosure. And it's just, it's to hear him try to reframe it as like Gerb trying to get attention because of this. Like, you could see in the interview, Gerb was uncomfortable reporting this information. Like, do you think Gerb wants to come out here after investigating all of these acronyms and looking into disclosure? Do you think he wants to report that like Lue Elizondo's involved in a bunch of bullshit? You think that's what he wants to say to the public? You think that is what he really wants to report as his first time on News Nation? You know what I'm saying? Like, to me, I wouldn't, that's not the one, that's not what I want to talk about, if I was researching this topic. But I think he feels it's the most important thing and prevalent and concerning thing to talk about right now. So to me, the fact that he is talking about it and kind of putting himself out there, and again, man, Lue Elizondo with the trolls, like, he's been associated with all this bad activity online, very suspect activity, very suspect individuals, man. It's just, and here we go again. Let's hear this one.
share something else with you too, another anecdote about to show you the character of this individual. Recently, as a month ago, I attended a function in Washington, D.C. This individual happened to be there. I didn't know who he was, but I saw a circle of people surrounding him and they were berating him. I worried for his safety to some degree and maybe figured he was getting picked on and walked over and interjected. And as I pulled him away, I was told, hey, that's the guy that's been talking crap about everybody and been making things up. So I pulled him aside and I said, hey, look, these people are obviously pretty upset with you. If you have any questions in the future, here's my personal cell phone number. Now, this went against my better judgment, but I did it anyways. As you all know, I'm very open and transparent. So I said, look, if you ever have any questions, please give me a call.
All right, first of all, I don't even believe that story. Like people were berating UAP Gerb at the Disclosure Foundation event. No. I guarantee you that was not probably happening. Like, my God, there's no way that was, it was pro-disclosure. People were all celebrating that day. I doubt anybody was there like a skeptic, like what was there, a team of skeptics be like UAP Gerb is not seen as somebody who's critical of the field. So for Elizondo to play Superman and swoop in and save him from people, like that's already bullshit in my eyes. Like that whole story sounds like bullshit. It's just funny, man. First time I heard that, I was cracking up.
And obviously, he looked at me. He had what to me looked like tears in his eyes. And he looked at me and said, "Oh, okay, sir. Yes, I promise. I'll do that. I'll make sure that I call you if I have any questions in the future, and I won't do that." And just start spewing off of garbage. And I look at him and said, "Good. I appreciate that. We can be friends. I'm happy to, whether you agree with me or not. I'm happy to give you information. Just reach out to me and I can clarify stuff." Well, guess what? A month later, he goes on a network television series and starts spewing off more crap that was completely wrong. He never called me once, right? So what kind of due diligence, investigative type skill set does it require just to go out and make up stuff about people, right? And this is why we're having a problem. If you want to know what's wrong with the UFO community, you have people out there, and by the way, yes, I'm addressing you who lied, to look in the mirror. You
can't even say his name. You, bro, can't even say his name. I can't even say his name. That's funny.
You're the reason why we're having this problem with disclosure. You're the reason why people don't take this topic seriously. And frankly, you should be ashamed of yourself. I know I'm ashamed for what you did. You should be embarrassed. And the fact that you're talking to people and claiming you have access to stuff you don't, I don't ever remember you in any of the meetings that I was at the Pentagon or at ATIP, quite frankly. In fact, if you want inside information, going to talk to somebody and saying you have an inside source, as far as I'm concerned, that's called gossip. That's not information. And secondly,
the last person that I would be investigating for presenting disinformation or taking part of disinformation or misinformation, whatever, is the person who's doing it. Hey, excuse me, Mr. Elizondo, are you doing disinformation? Like, no. Oh, okay, thanks, buddy. Just wanted to get that confirming of you. Like, they're not going to go and call you. They're not going to be like, oh, let's confirm everything about Lue before we're going to publish some pretty controversial stuff about him, because they already found out the information. They don't need to get, like, they got information above you, around you. They don't need to confirm it with you when you're the one who they're investigating. And I just think you never called me. And yeah, hold on, let's finish this.
I think it's also important to say that as you continue to disparage and provide false information, remember there's real consequences. There are real consequences for your actions and what you are doing. And I would not want to be you right now, because when this all comes out that you're just BS. Yeah,
that's a clip that we played from before. I think, is there any more?
We have to be careful with media here, especially News Nation, who's a friend to disclosure.
Yeah, we played the rest of that. So consequences, I mean, bro, that sounds like some kind of threatening stuff right there, dude. That's which is no cool, no bueno, no good in ufology, especially when Elizondo, he was the torture czar and now he's the UFO czar. I don't know, man. Whole thing is going to be interesting to see how this plays out for people. I think it's going to split. And it's been brewing for a minute, you know, like I said earlier with Elizondo and Grusch, and Grusch and Gerb seem pretty tight. So, you know, how this is going to end up playing out, I don't know. We'll see. All right, let me pull up like a couple more clips here. Let me see. Let me just go over the Matthew Brown stuff, and then we'll wrap up this episode. Because I think, you know, a lot of the stuff was just playing out from I wanted to get on tape with the Gerb and Elizondo stuff. And let me play a couple Matthew Brown clips that I found interesting that he came out with recently.
For them. And number, what are the urgent and credible threats? I mean,
first off, bro, get a better mic. Like, come on. Like, get a mic. Like, a microphone's $100. You get a microphone for $100. If you're really taking this serious, just get a mic. Just get a good microphone. It's just my tip of the day.
What are the urgent and credible threats? I mean, what I can say here is probably limited, but I would ask, number one, to be released from my secrecy obligations and given the opportunity to tell the American public under oath what those threats are.
Sure.
As I've come to discover them. And number two, I think it's fair to say that humanity is its own worst enemy in many ways, and the competition that has existed over these technologies and the destructiveness of these technologies is definitely one of those risks that I'm getting at, or sorry, threats that I'm getting at in that sentence there. I think that's actually good enough for now.
So he was talking about the urgent and credible threats that I guess he would see in disclosure, and competing factors. It's so vague. It's like, is that different nations are competing with crash retrievals, different alien races are trying to compete, but the destructiveness of the technology, he hints in the next clip about having energy technology or energy capabilities that we definitely don't, in the public don't have. So like alternate energy sources and stuff like that, 0 point energy. He doesn't say that, but I feel like that's what he's pretty much getting at. To get, you know, the NDA stuff, I mean, he seems to be like, I'll give him credit for being the one whistleblower who seems up vocally and publishing his thoughts opposing what's going on with the NDA. I haven't seen any other whistleblowers talk about it. Elizondo kind of talks about it in the video, and he posted up today, but I haven't seen many other whistleblowers talk about exactly what needs to happen for this NDA stuff to really play out, because it's been, you know, I think it's going to come to a head here, especially with Burleson really trying to fight for this, and has somebody inside with Stephen Miller, who's got an inside track with Trump and the White House, and, you know, whether it's a directive or an executive order or what needs to be contained and all that, what's in the NDAA. I feel like we can get it done because these communication avenues have been set up. Like, if these guys don't feel comfortable still, get a hold of Trump to where Dr. Phil or whoever, whoever's got his ear can be like, hey man, these whistleblowers don't really feel comfortable enough. Like, they really want to come forward and reveal this information. You're outside of what's going on. Like, you're not in the know. You're being hidden from this stuff. And, whether it grabs the people's attention, I don't know. This is another one that's interesting.
Discoveries, but profound discoveries and dire threats originating from UAP NHI. Again, very strong, very, very powerful stuff.
Yeah, I think a clarification or some detail there I can offer is that on the discovery side of that, number one, it's just the obvious one. Humanity is not alone in the universe. We're not even alone on our own planet in terms of sharing it with other sentient, intelligent life, at least as conscious as us.
Right.
Which, is, at least for my generation, we've grown up hearing that's probably the biggest both philosophical and scientific question out there to answer. That is not something that can or should be classified and withheld, not just from the American public, but from the human family as a whole. Also related to discoveries on a more practical level is just both the fundamental science that kind of explains some of the technology that we are observing, and that science being translated to scientific or technological applications itself, primarily being energy production. Energy is probably the defining resource that we've competed over since the 20th century into the 21st.
Right.
And should it be known to the public and the world that we in effect operate under some sort of artificial cartel that restrains us from accessing a more, I guess, powerful and useful form of energy production. I think there should be outrage about that.
So, I mean, some interesting points. He says we're not alone in the universe, not even on our planet. I was like, oh, okay. All right. And then the energy stuff. One of the things I feel like he doesn't practice these kind of answers, and that he doesn't really know how to present the information. Or if you're fighting the NDAs or this classified information, I think there should be a level of like practice people should do when they know they're going to be asked these sort of questions to get to like make that line to where you're being comfortable being able to talk about this. And so when he's talking about non-human intelligence being here and then these energies and that we should be outraged about it, I still don't understand what I need to be mad about or who I need to be mad about at. It's, I can't just be, I want to be able to direct that frustration somewhere. And typically it's been to like Congress, and places like that. But I just don't know what the best avenue is, and I think the community shares in that, is like call your congressman and fight for that. Just, it isn't motivating for people to be involved like that. And a lot of people want to be involved in the topic and to contribute and to feel like they're part of the disclosure process. There's just not a lot of ways, I think, that are real, that feel real genuine of people that they feel like, okay, I'm a part of it. So that's been kind of going on the last couple of days. I'm going to Psy Games this weekend, so I'll be recording a lot there. I'm going to have a post kind of analysis and summary and review of the event next week. I'll probably be posting a bunch there, so check out my X page. I'll post a bunch of videos. I'm going to meet a bunch of people in person I'm excited to hang out with. So looking forward to that. Going to have a bunch of fun. And there'll be some more videos. We're doing the UFO Great Debate in about a week. So we're going to try and stream that live. Last time I didn't really stream it very well, but wanted to find a way to kind of stream that live and put a different aspect into it. So if you just wanted to watch and chill and then save it for a later date, you could do that as well. So, all right. Appreciate everybody coming by. Hit that like, hit that subscribe if you're not subscribed already. Trying to take the YouTube channel to the next level. Got some music coming up. So my album's going to be coming up in about a week and a half. Neon Dreams, a really cool concept. Really tried to hone in on a certain sound that I was working on and kind of developing based off of like a lot of the different voices and vocal effects that I have and that I've recorded before. So just really experimental, but really cool and type of vibe that I think people will enjoy as well for the music. So looking forward to that. Appreciate everybody coming by. Got spaces going on soon as well. See you guys. Peace.